Games Workshop are taking aim at the competition when it comes to Warhammer the Old World. The Warhammer Armies project has been hit with a cease and desist, so let's talk about what's been revealed and then the implications. So Warhammer is reporting this, and there's no reason to disbelieve them or anything like that. But basically it says Matthias, who I believe is who runs Warhammer projects. I'm not really too familiar with this, so just bear with me in that regard. But they've been hit with a cease and desist. Now specifically, it's about the art and the text from the army books. Obviously, they've gone with like as generic as thing as they can for some of the actual rules and that kind of thing. So the rules can stay. It's mainly the stuff that is directly lifted from Games Workshop that they have to stop using, which on the face of it is sort of reasonable. It is actually Games Workshop stuff. They've not gone with the generic enough for that. They're literally lifting some of the old artwork and stuff like that, from what I can gather. And that's all it means, that they're gonna not be able to do that any longer, and they have to rewrite some of the rules so that it doesn't actually use any Games Workshop stuff. But obviously rules themselves are generic enough. They're not actually lifted directly from Games Workshop. They just have to phrase them in a way where it's not actually borrowing any actual text. And because that GW are actually going to be releasing the Old World, he doesn't necessarily want to do this, I think, because he doesn't want it to be superseded by GW themselves. That all makes sense. However, you will have until this Friday to actually download everything from the blog if you do want the Warhammer's Armies project stuff, because, you know, it needs to go because of the cease and desist. And just to summarize, if you don't know what Warhammer Armies project is, WAP, which is maybe a little bit unfortunate nickname considering the song these days, then it is basically Warhammer Fantasy just done by the community effectively. And they were using IP from Games Workshop. I think that's, you know, undoubtable. They were using some text, they were using some images, but Games Workshop didn't really care because it was using all the old stuff. And until Warhammer the Old World, Games Workshop had no reason to care. They were sort of like, yeah, crack on if you want to. It's not really going to be hurting Age of Sigmar or anything like that. However, with Warhammer the Old World around the corner, it makes sense that they need to clamp down on this a little bit. It might not even be that Games Workshop want to or have any desire to really go after the competition. If I'm honest, I doubt they actually see them as competition. The size that Games Workshop are going to do when they release Warhammer the Old World will very much dwarf the Warhammer Armies project. I think that's just a fact. However, if they are actually using IP and art and text and stuff like that, then there might be some trouble where they actually lose the license to stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to be relevant, but if Games Workshop then want to put it in the new books and they're like, hey, look at this old artwork or something, that could cause problems. I know some people will be probably angry at Games Workshop for this. However, I don't think you have any really leg to stand on. They're literally lifting Games Workshop IP stuff here. It makes sense that Games Workshop are now like, hey, we're actually going to be competing with you in a minute, so what if you just don't use our stuff? Obviously, it's a little bit of a shame. I believe they're still going to be at Nova, for example. You are still going to be able to play Warhammer's Armies project. It's not necessarily going away. It's just going to have to be there in a different format. All the stuff that was lifted, that's going to have to get removed, and it'll just be the core little bits of information. And they actually say, on a positive note, future rules updates will go a lot quicker in the new format because there's less layout issues to worry about. It's just going to literally be the rules. Now, unfortunately, whichever way you swing it, I think Warhammer the Old World will significantly impact stuff like Warhammer Armies project beyond this cease and desist. Let's just make some numbers up. If out of the 100% of people who are interested in Warhammer the Old World, maybe only 10% are interested in Warhammer Armies project, and when the other 90% are actually playing Warhammer the Old World, the 10% who are interested in Warhammer Armies project, well, they might be like, well, actually, if I want to get more and more games and I want to be involved in a bigger community, then I'm actually just going to play Warhammer the Old World. Significantly, I think it's going to get hit. I think stuff like Mantic will also get hit in a way, at least in terms of how many people play Kings of War in the short term. I have said that before, people don't really agree with me, but I think that's going to be the case. Mantic might end up doing well because they sell miniatures and stuff like that. I'm very much aware of that. But basically, any competitor to Games Workshop when it comes to Square Base's fantasy games, I think is going to take a little bit of a hit. It just makes too much sense. People only have limited resources, even though you actually need a lot of resources to play these games. So I don't think this is like worth getting our knickers in a twist for. It just makes sense that they're going to do this. If they hadn't used anything from Games Workshop, Games Workshop would have had no leg to stand on. They wouldn't have been able to say or do anything, and it would have been okay. Games Workshop, though, are like, hey, we're making Warhammer the Old World, we need you to stop using our stuff. And that perfectly is reasonable. Slight apologies from my end. I made the video about the preview that is coming this Saturday, and we were like, huge news, because I was like thinking we might end up getting like a release date or something really big. However, it turns out there is some text that says it's going to be 1 miniature. So at least we know we can put our hype in check. Many apologies, I didn't see that in my rush to get that video out. I didn't actually see that. But yeah, unfortunately I won't be able to live stream with you guys. I do apologize, but I will be making a video when we see it. And I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. If you want to support this channel, you can of course become a Patreon. Otherwise, I hope you have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.